Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats because we're about to uncover the hidden stories locked away inside numbers. You know, every single list of data has a tale to tell, and we're about to learn exactly how to listen in. So, where do we even begin our investigation? Well, it all starts with the single most powerful tool any data detective has: asking the right kind of question. Believe me, the quality of the story you uncover completely depends on the quality of the question you ask. All right, here's our case file for today. First, we're going to master the art of asking the right questions. Then we'll find the typical value in our clues and figure out how spread out they are. After that, we'll put it all together in a cool visual called a box plot. And finally, I'll share some pro tips so you can avoid common mistakes. Okay, first up, the question. The question is the absolute foundation of all statistics. And as you're about to see, not all questions are created equal. Some, they just lead to a dead end, while others can open up a whole new world. And this right here is the crucial difference. See, a non-statistical question like, how old am I, has just one answer. It's a fact, sure, but there's no story there. But a statistical question, something like, how old are the students in this school? Well, that unlocks everything. It expects a whole bunch of different answers, and it's inside that variety, that variability, that we find the patterns, the trends, and the real story hiding in the numbers. All right, let's move on to our first clue gathering technique, finding the center of our data. This is how we identify the, usual suspects in our lineup of numbers. And to do this, we're going to look at two really powerful tools: the mean and the median. First up is the mean, which you've probably heard called the average. The best way to think about the mean is as the fair share number. Seriously, picture you had a bunch of different piles of sand. The mean is the height they would all be if you just leveled them out perfectly. And finding it? It's a really straightforward two-step process. You just add up every single value you have, and then you divide that big total by the count of how many values there were. It's as simple as that. You found your fair share. Now, our second tool for finding the center is the median, and the mean kind of gives it away. It's the middle. A great way to remember this is to think of the median on a highway, right? It sits in the exact middle of the road. And in a set of data, the median is precisely that, the one number that's sitting smack dab in the physical center of the list. But here's the crucial point, and you can't forget this. Step 1. To find the real median, you absolutely have to arrange your numbers in order first, from the smallest to the largest. Only then can you actually find the value that's truly in the middle. Okay, so finding the center is great, but a good detective needs more context, right? Are all the clues packed tightly together, or are they scattered all over the place? This idea is called spread, or variability, and it is essential for understanding the whole picture. So the simplest way to measure this spread is the range. It's literally just the distance between your highest value and your lowest value. You just take the maximum and subtract the minimum. It gives you a really quick snapshot of how wide your entire set of data is. But for a more powerful analysis, we use something called the Interquartile range, or IQR. Just imagine your ordered data split into 4 equal parts. We call those quartiles. The IQR is just the range of the middle 2 parts, the central 50% of your data. Because it totally ignores the lowest 25% and the highest 25% of your values, the IQR isn't thrown off by really weird high or low numbers. It gives us a much more stable picture of where the bulk of the data really is. So, we've gathered our clues. We know how to find the center, and we know how to measure the spread. Now, let's see how we can combine all this info into a single, powerful picture that tells the whole story in one glance. And here it is, the box plot. Now, don't let its simple look fool you. This one visual is a masterpiece of information. It elegantly shows us 5 key pieces of data, telling us everything about the center, the spread, and the overall shape of our numbers, all in one neat little package. Let's break down how it works. The entire plot is built from what we call the 5-number summary. This is made up of the minimum and maximum values and the median. We've already talked about those. It also includes 2 new points, the lower quartile, or Q1, which is just the median of the bottom half of the data, and the upper quartile, Q3, the median of the top half. That's it. Those 5 numbers are all we need. Okay, so let's start with the box itself. This box is the heart of our data story. The left edge of the box is Q1 and the right edge is Q3. This means the box visually represents that interquartile range, the middle 50% of all our data. How wide that box is tells you instantly if the bulk of your values are really close together or spread far apart. And then, stretching out from the box, you have the whiskers. These lines reach out to show you the full extent of the data. The left whisker goes all the way down to the minimum value, and the right whisker stretches all the way up to the maximum value. So together, the whiskers give you the full range of your data in a single glance. And finally, see that one line inside the box? That's our old friend, the median. It's a quick visual for the exact center of our data, and where it's located tells a big part of the story. You know, if the median is right in the middle of the box and the whiskers are about the same length, your data is probably symmetrical. But if it's shifted to one side, that tells you your data is skewed. Pretty cool, huh? All right, you are almost ready to go out and start your own data investigations. But before you do, let's just quickly cover a couple of common traps that even experienced detectives can fall into, just to make sure your work is always spot on. If there is one pro tip I need you to remember, it's this. This is, hands down, the biggest mistake people make. You cannot find the true median if your data isn't sorted first. Always put your numbers in order from least to greatest before you even think about finding that middle number. And to help keep our two main tools straight, because, it's easy to get them confused, here's a super simple way to remember the difference. If you have to do math, adding and dividing, you're finding the mean. If you're just finding the physical middle of a list, that's the median. So why does all this matter? Well, because data is literally everywhere. It's in sports, it's in the news, it's in science, and now you've got the fundamental tools to look beyond just the raw numbers. You can ask the right questions, you can find the center, you can see the spread, and you can start to understand the real fascinating story that the data is trying to tell you. The only question left is, what story will you uncover first?